first degree. Extreme atrocity or cruelty.
Aaron Hernandez, as mentioned, found guilty this afternoon of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. The actual murder weapon was never recovered. Took the jury several days to reach a verdict. Hernandez, definitely no saint here, but a single witness testified to what they saw against him. Are you surprised at all by the verdict?
I'm not, and I tell people this all the time. Circumstantial cases, they're very difficult, and you had a lot of powerful circumstantial evidence in this case. You have a video of him 10 minutes later with what appears to be a gun. You have him calling his fiancée and having her take a box and get rid of it. You've got all of these pieces, these video pieces that put him at the scene, and in fact, in summations, his lawyer for the first time says he was on the scene. I don't know if that shouldn't have been something fronted earlier. So circumstantial cases, when you really put all the puzzles together, jury did its job. It took them a long time. It's
isn't
not
that the
unusual.
surprising part, that they were out for that long?
You know, Mark, I tell you, if you look at all the pieces of evidence that they had here, yeah, but you know something, it's a high-profile case, and I believe in the system. I believe they took their time, and I'm not surprised, to tell you the truth.
Well, not surprised that it took that long. I thought it would be quicker.
No, I'm not surprised at the verdict,
no.
but if it was quicker, I wouldn't have been surprised
If that was in New York, though, you wouldn't have a sentencing the same day as the verdict.
Yeah.
You got to at least put it over so that the defense has an opportunity to at least present some mitigating information.
Well, I think it's a
mandatory.
Right. Mandatory. And it goes straight up to the highest court in the state, too.
Okay.
What would you say, though, Mark, to the argument, because he's now facing life in prison without parole. There's another murder case he's facing as well. What to the argument, and I understand, hey, you need to pursue justice, but if we've already convicted him, he's not going anywhere for the rest of his life.
We've
got to go through all the costs of the trial.
What if it gets overturned?
Is that the
I think that's one rationale for it. And you know, the thing is, there's no murder weapon, but there was also no motive established at the trial, and the prosecution surmised that the motive was that the victim had evidence to implicate him in the other shooting, and the judge ruled that that evidence was inadmissible. So maybe that's the reason why the jury was out so long. Not only is there no weapon, no motive before the jury.
There may also be civil consequences for the family of the other victim. So if there is a conviction in that other case, then there can easily be a civil case that can follow. So if you don't have that adjudication, it makes it more difficult.
I think you offer a plea on the other cases to save the resources and not put the families through it, but those families deserve justice just like anybody else.
Here's the thing, if the jury's out for a week and you can find an error in the trial, that's ipso facto a close case that they deliberated for that long. So any error, you're going to have a hard time if you're the government saying it was a harmless error.
Hey, Doug, before we run out of time, you were at a nice event, weren't you, for somebody at this table? Not for me?
Oh, for Mayo, yeah, it was great. It was in honor of Mayo's mother. Mayo gave a speech, it was wonderful.
Wow, forget about his speech. Talk about the event, and oh, you do it. Go ahead.
Mayo's a real leader in the community, and it was a fantastic turnout, and a lot of lawyers there, a lot of law students, law professors, and Mayo spoke. He was fantastic. They honored another gentleman also. It was a great event.
Which raises the question of why we weren't invited, but we'll...
Please, we have too much time for that. Real quickly, 20 seconds, why was your mom honored?
My mother was honored for being the first African-American woman to graduate from Pace Law School. She did that while raising myself and my sisters and working full-time, and did much better than I could ever do. So
she did a great job.
Yes. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Really great.
And we'll be talking next week about an event here that is also coming up. The Jimmy's Better Half, much better half, is involved in. It's terrific, and it helps out a community definitely in need. We'll tell you about that next week. All right, stay with us, everybody. Hudson Valley Headlines coming up straight ahead.